it's Sophia here from mygreatchallenge.blogspot.com, and guess what? This is the very last project in my home office makeover. So I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to be finally done with this project. What am I going to do today? I'm going to have fun with fabric and replace the fan. So let me show you what I'm talking about right now. So you remember I have the closet right here where I put all of my scrapbooking supplies and the regular supplies, like for instance school supplies, pens and pencils, ink pads and whatnot. Okay, so I had a door here. I removed it because when you leave the door open, this one bangs into it, it makes noise and it scratches the door. I didn't like it. I removed the door. So what am I gonna do? Tension rod right here. You see the fabric that I put the last time? The video is down below. I'm going to use the exact same fabric. These are Martha Stewart's sheets. I'm just going to do a simple curtain that's going to go this way with a tie back and down. I can close it, I can leave it half open, whatever, who cares, it's my office. Number two, I'm going to reupholster my computer chair with the exact same fabric if I have some left, which I think I will. So I already put the chair upside down the other day, and basically I thought it was going to have like something that I could just remove this, put it in there and then replace that. Nope, I have to remove these with the little the bolts basically, and this whole seat here comes down. So I have to make an entire cover for this. I'm just going to do a simple cover. I'm not going to sweat it. I'm telling you, it's just going to have a seam that's probably going to end here. I just want the fabric there. Now the other thing I wanted to do, and I'm going to turn off the light so I'm not blinding you. Okay, so you see my fan. This is the original fan that came with the house. I hate those and I don't like the brass. So what I wanted to do was take down the fan, paint it and change those. Well, it turns out that it would actually not be cost effective. Turning the light back on, and I found a fan at the Home Depot from Hampton Bay. Let me put it this way so you don't have to stretch your neck. There we go. All right, so this is a all white fan. Now it only has 3 lights. The one I have right now has 4, so we're gonna lose a little bit of light, but that's okay. It's all white. I don't have to do anything, and this was only $59. I calculated the 4 globes that I wanted. They were $15 each, and then the spray paint was about $9. And what else did I wanted to replace? I wanted to replace the pools and everything. So it was gonna cost me about $80 to have the fan redone the way I wanted it. Why spend $85 do it yourself when you can just replace it for $59? So that's my story and I'm sticking with it. So first things first, I'm gonna do the closet right here. All I gotta do really is measure, make a pocket, make a seam at the bottom. It's gonna be real easy. Now for the seat, I'm probably gonna show you a little bit more steps on how I'm proceeding to do that, because really I'm gonna learn as I do. I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you remember, I'm using the Martha Stewart sheets. They are in Divine Neutral. This is the fitted sheet. The other one I used for the Valances. The first thing I'm doing right now is removing all of the elasticized part of the sheet. Okay, I've rolled the elastic out. The one thing I want to make sure I get rid of is the angle. You know, the one that goes around the corner of your sheets, right? Alright, so after you cut the corners, your fabric basically looks like this, right? You see that? Because these are sewn together to make the corner of the mattress. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm going to put them right side against right side like this, and it forms this shape, right? And I'm just gonna cut right here, get rid of all of this, and do the same thing on the other side, and I will re-give me a big rectangle of fabric, at which point I'll have to, adjust it, cut it to make it straight. So now that I've cut all of my corners and I have a relatively straight rectangle, before I actually make straighter cuts, I want to make sure that I iron everything, because I don't want to have any wrinkles in the way, because when you have wrinkles you end up, not being able to cut straight. so my entire fabric has been ironed, so now I can just put it right side against right side. And what I'm going to do is try to form a very nice rectangle here. So that I can make straight cuts along the edges here, and same thing here, and discard all of the fabric that I basically kind of like messed up by quickly removing everything. So, because what I want really is fabric that I can work with and that is not frayed, so I want straight edges. So I'm basically reconstructing a piece of fabric to work with to make a curtain. That's basically what I'm doing. So all of that here, I'm just going to discard it, because this is, you know, rough cuts. And again, all I want is a straight line, or as straight as possible, so that I can really work with my fabric and measure it accurately. Okay? Alright, so this is pretty much everything that was inside a fitted sheet. So now you can do whatever you want with this, because it's straight, it's been ironed. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is pretty much I'm going to keep the width that I have here for the width of my curtain. But I will have to measure the length eventually. So let me go upstairs and check it out. I'm going to measure and see what I can do with this. Alright, so I barely have enough fabric, but I'm still going to use it. And what I'm going to do before I start creating the pocket for the rod and then the seam at the bottom, I want to finish off the edges. So these are the edges that are going to be vertical on either side of the panel. I could just be lazy and do a zigzag here, but that's not what I want to do. I want to do something that looks a little bit better. So this is what I'm going to do. I have my iron with me. I'm just going to fold this. I don't know if you can see. Alright, I'm just going to fold this once like this, right? And then I'm going to fold it a second time, like that. You see that? And then with my iron, I'm just going to flatten this out. And I'm going to do that all along. So that way I can go ahead with my machine and just give a nice stitch right here along the side, so that I have a finished border rather than having a frayed curtain. So I hope this works. I've never done it before. Technically you're supposed to pre-stitch it, or you know, whatever, prep it, even use pins if you have them on hand. I'm just gonna iron it like this real quick, just enough to hold it so that when I bring it to my machine, it pretty much looks like this. So again, I'm going to do the stitches here. Now if I wanted to be ambitious, I would do a line of stitch here and a line of stitch there, so I would have two. I ain't got time for that. Alright, so I flattened my edges here, you see that, with the iron. I'm just going to go ahead and make a straight line. Reverse. Hold on, I'm not straight. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and make a straight line along the entire edge. And what I'm using as a guide is the end right here of my foot against the edges here of my fold. That way I know that I have the same straight line throughout. Right? Okay, and this is basically what the edges of my curtain are going to look like, and this is what it looks like on the other end. It looks much cleaner than if I had frayed or even a zigzag. What I need to do now is the pocket for the rod. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to fold a little bit here, right? But then I'm going to fold a little bit bigger right here, like this, about an inch, all right? And then I'm going to iron the same way, so that I have this edge here flat and this edge here flat. And I'm going to just sew, not the one on top, but the one right here. So it's basically going to catch the part that I folded under right here. like this. And once that's done, what it's going to give me is a hole right here. You can see that right here for my extension rod. Okay, so that's done. Solid all along over here, and I have a pocket right here for my rod. So this is gonna stay pretty much like this. I'm not gonna stitch it here, just gonna let the rod, go straight into this pocket, and then the curtain itself is gonna get gathered like this alongside of my rod. All right, so let me do the seam at the bottom. Same thing, I'm not gonna sweat it. I'm just gonna roll it once and twice on itself like this, and that's going to be the bottom part of my curtain. Now, if you remember from my last video, I had cut off the top part of the flat sheet, which is the pretty part. That's pretty much the seam, you know, when you put the sheet over you. That was the part that was already finished, and I had cut that off on the edges. Well, I'm gonna use that part here. A lot of you had mentioned that I would make a pretty ribbon or an accent. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use it as a tie back. So what I did is basically fold it in half, right, and pressed it. And I have right here at the edges where they meet, right here at the end, right? So I'm gonna have two pieces. Basically, I'm trying to show you, right? I'm gonna have two pieces like this, one on the right and one on the left. But right here where they meet at the end, I'm going to sew a ring, and this is like a basic keychain ring, no big deal. So I'm just gonna put this right here, and what it's gonna do is that it's gonna hold those two pieces back, and I have a hook on the wall right here that's gonna hold it. So that's it. All I want, let me see if I can show you against the dark background. So all I want is for that ring right here to be held together at the back of my tie back. And yeah, I'm gonna stop here. So I'm gonna take the extra thread and just loop it around like this. It doesn't require a lot of strength because it's not heavy fabric. So basically this piece right here will go onto a hook that I'm going to put inside the frame. So let me go upstairs and install this, and then I'll show you what I mean by using this as a tie back. Alright, so this has been installed. This is what it looks like. You don't want to put your tension rod all the way to the top, because what happens is that it will stop the fabric from being able to open. So basically this is what the top looks like, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once I close it with the tie back. Alright, so like I said, my tie back is basically my two pieces here of the extra seam that I had with my little ring here and a hook right here, so it's holding it together. And all you have to do is pretty much grab one, grab the other, gather them around like this, and make a single loop. Fancy like that. If you want to bring that down. So let me pull out so you can see what I'm talking about when I'm saying that the curtain is too short. Look, you see, it's too short by about 1.5 feet. I never had any intention of closing it anyway. I just wanted something that was kind of like a fabric accent, and you know, to kind of tie in the fabric that I have around and just make it less ugly, I guess, because this part right here is really unsightly, period. So I put the bow a little bit higher. I don't have to put a bow. That's basically what it looks like, and I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I'm a little mad that the fabric didn't go all the way to the bottom, but again, I just wanted to have an accent. So next step, I have to disassemble the top of the chair and put the cushion cover over it. Okay, so I am back in the dining room. Here is my cushion seat for my computer chair, and guess what? I just checked to see whether the pillowcase from the same collection of sheets that I've used throughout the office would fit, and guess what? It does. So all I have to do now is flip it inside out, and then because this is rounded, right? I don't want those things here. I'm just going to make it tight, and I'm going to mark right here where I want to have my stitching from the machine. Once that's done, I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna mark where I want it sewn, okay? But I'm gonna leave all of this right here open because I want to be able to put it back in, and then I'm gonna have to basically sew it by hand in the back, okay? So let me go ahead and do that. I may actually do an envelope and sew it at the bottom instead. I don't know. So what I have to do right now is just flip it inside out. Readjust it on the cushion seat, right? Okay, make sure it's nice and straight, and I'm going to pull it as much as I can, and then I have to draw. Let me get a pen. Okay, so I have all of this extra fabric here, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and draw kind of like a half circle right here, and do the same thing here, because what I want is kind of a shape that resembles the, you know, roundness here of my cushion. And then in the back, for now I'm just gonna cut most of it right here. Right? Let me figure out what I'm going to do with this first, and then I'll do the back. Alright, so it's inserted back onto the cushion. Yeah, it looks a little bit better than what I had before with the extra pointy fabric that was right here. So that's that. So now I'm going to turn it and flip it this way. I'm going to try to tuck these things in as much as I can. Like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that, you see how I folded this? So I'm going to stitch this by hand. I'm going to do the same thing here, where I'm going to stitch this by hand as well. See, the thing is that that's the back of my chair, and that's the part that you see when you walk in the office, so I do want it to look somewhat finished. Alright, so I'm going to do that by hand, tuck everything in, and then all I'll have to do is basically just fold everything back this way. Okay, so here goes. I have a seat cushion that's been covered. So now, like I said, not a seamstress. This is not the best job in the world. There's, you know, slack here and there. This is not perfectly rounded, but you know what? It is what I wanted, which was matching the fabric here and the one on the curtains. The bottom is also covered, if you can see. Well, anyway, you've watched me do this. Like I said, not a seamstress, so I don't know how long this is gonna last. Either it's gonna rip at some point, or the kids are gonna destroy it with dirty fingers and whatnot, drinks, and you know, that's life. You know, there's some ladies on Etsy who make those, by the way, and I don't know if you can give them the fabric and then they make it, but I know that I've seen them as patterns. I just don't have the skills. You guys are always telling me, is there anything you can't do? Well, there you go. I can't keep my house clean, I can't lose weight, and I can't sew to save my life. I can kind of like fool around a little bit with the needle and the machine, but that's the extent of my skills when it comes to sewing. What I did in this office is it. This is it. I don't have any skill beyond this, and it's not even great. So yeah, that's one of those things that I've always wanted to learn. For some reason, I didn't get that passed down from my mom, who can just like recreate a Chanel suit if she wanted to. She is that good with the sewing machine and with fabric and needle and things like this. And my sister does needlepoint. I'm not good at it. That's not my thing. But I can build a bookcase, that's for sure. All right, so I'm done with the fabric. Let me disassemble the fan, reinstall the new one, and then I will be done with today's video and the office altogether. YouTube, we've got a problem. I can finish my fan. Can't finish it today, and I'm probably gonna have to do that tomorrow. So I'm gonna stop my video recording now. Let me explain the issue. The issue is that the new fan box, or at least the whatever they call it, the crown for it, doesn't fit on the top of my ceiling. Let me show you. They had an extension box right there, and that extension box was not taking the new cap for this. Couldn't fit it in. All right, so I had to remove the box, and of course the box that was in there was fixed with a lot of plaster, so I kind of damaged my ceiling to begin with. Okay, now the other problem is the new one that I need to install here. Of course it's gonna show all of the mess there, so I have to go to the store and get one of those decorative rose thing made of plaster, which is actually gonna look cool in the office. I don't mind that. But I also need to get a new extension box because the new screws won't fit in. The reason why they put an extension is because the length of the screws needed would not fit into the electrical box they have in there. It's kind of complicated, but I hope you are understanding what I'm saying. So basically, I can do my fan tonight. That's all I can tell you. And I'm very upset about it because I wanted to have the fan. I know Scott is going to be real upset because he wants his fan, but I removed it. Was it worth the trouble? I don't know. I'll let you know when I install it, whether or not it was worth taking the whole thing down and having to go through all of this nonsense, rather than just taking it down and painting it and changing the stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna end up spending the amount of money I was gonna spend. I am learning about electrical stuff, so there's a plus there, but I'm just wiped out, and at this point this is really the last thing I need to do in this office, and of course the last stretch has got to be the one that's the most challenging. So this is where I'm at. I don't know if you've enjoyed this video at all. I don't think I showed you a lot, but here's what I did, by the way. You see that in the back? The remainder of the pillowcase that I used for the seat, if you remember the pillowcase I used, the remainder, I just put it together here where there was a hole, and now I have kind of like a cover for the top of the chair. I'm probably gonna do the round part here, right, at a later time. So I think it gives a little bit more of a complete look on the chair. I'm not, you know, thrilled with it. It's not like, wow, what a great chair, but it looks a little bit better. And then the curtain right there, actually I'm not totally disappointed with it. So these were the only things that I managed to complete today, other than, you know, a lot of cursing at that ceiling fan issue. But The next time you will see me around, it will be for a final tour. I am not going to do a video on how Scott and I are going to argue with each other for 4 hours as to how we're going to install the fan. I will spare you from watching that because I know that's what's going to happen. We're probably going to argue like every husband and wives do when they do projects and, you know, whatever. So the next time I will see you will be the last episode in the series. It will be the final tour, and what I'm probably gonna do, since I've kept all the footage from the first one, is do a side-by-side comparison so you can really gauge the amount of work that went into this office. It was really insane, and I'm glad it's done. Alright, so give me a thumbs up if you like this video, share it, share my series. If you want to watch everything from episode 1, it's in the description down below, because the home office makeover series is actually in its own little playlist, so you can watch every single episode back to back, kind of like a rerun if you want to watch it again. So that's it. Give me a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and I guess I will talk to you later and see you for the final tour next time around. Bye!